This is how you build a subway or metro system in City Skylines. Number 1, wait until your city is almost done to build a metro system. Number 2, analyze your city to determine the best places for the subway stations. Number 3, place the subway stations. Number 4, place the subway rail. Number 5, create the metro lines. Number 6, update the number of subway vehicles. Number 7, build pedestrian paths. Now let's go over those 7 steps in greater detail. If you want more tips, there is a playlist which includes another metro subway guide, a beginner's guide, traffic manager settings, and other tutorials and tips. Also in the playlist are a boatload of submitted city fixes where I fix other people's cities and their traffic. The first step is to wait until your city is almost done to build a metro system. You can build a metro system technically at any time. However, I recommend you wait until your city is almost done. 3 reasons for that recommendation. First, if you build your subway system too early, then after you've completed your city or after your city has grown, you may have to redo the system. So that makes the initial subway system a waste of time to build and a waste of money. Second, it is expensive to build a subway system. Your city may not have enough money to build a system early on. Third, if you build a city with a good layout and a good road system, you should not have traffic problems until much later in the game when your city is huge. For example, my city had 80% traffic flow with no despawning until about 170,000 in population. Now, the only reason why the traffic flow dropped below 80% is because of the northwest side of the city. If I implement some simple traffic fixes in that neighborhood, the traffic goes back up to 80%. So I still don't even really need a subway system to improve my traffic flow. The second step is to analyze your city to determine the best places for subway stations. Most likely, after you've built your city and have spent several hours on it, you'll be pretty familiar with where the popular places are in the city and where are traffic congestion points. Here's a huge tip. Subway stations and the subway metro system at large will not help your industry traffic. Those trucks are transporting cargo. They will not be reduced or removed from the roads by building a subway system. Subway stations in industrial areas will only help reduce commuter traffic, like private vehicles. Therefore, focus and target your subway system on residential, commercial, and tourist areas. Lastly, I recommend placing your stations near your highway for one line, and then on the other side of the highway, place stations for another line. This method will make it easy for your Sims to transfer from one line to another. I'll show you an example of this method in a moment. Do not build your stations too close together. Build them approximately 100 to 200 units apart, sometimes farther. Sims can walk approximately 3 city tiles. So, for example, here's 1 city tile, 2, 3. They can actually traverse or walk. They're willing to walk approximately 3 of those city tiles. The best type of lines to build are loops. On rare occasions, should you build a straight or non-loop line, I would recommend you avoid the spoke and hub system. That metro system can cause subway vehicle traffic jams. The third step is to place the subway or metro stations. Click on Transport, click on Metro. When you click on the station, here is the underground metro station, and then you can have above ground or elevated metro stations. So it's better to use the underground metro station. That way it doesn't affect where you can zone. That way it doesn't get in the way of the road system. So when you click on the underground metro station, you will go automatically into underground building mode. The way that you can tell that you're in underground building mode is that the screen has a different color palette. Most everything will be white, and the underground items will be black in color. So for example, here's a road that goes underground, it's black or dark gray. Here's rail that goes underground, it's dark. Everything else is white. Now, place your stations in the place that they're supposed to be, and make sure you orient them in the direction that your subway rail and subway line are supposed to travel. For example, you're gonna have to place them next to a road. When I do it this way, the line is going north and south. If the top of the screen is north, the bottom of the screen is south. So in this case, the track will be placed north and south. If you orient and move your station slightly, you'll notice that the orientation will change. Now it's going east to west. So make sure that you orient your station based on where your rail is going to go. So here is the highway, or one of the highways in the city. I like to place my subway stations near the highway, and you will notice that the highway intersections are close to 100 units apart. Let me show that to you. There you go, 96. So the subway stations will basically be placed right here, right here, right here, right here, and I want it to go east to west, and then I'm going to loop it around. So let me show that to you. So here we are again, transport, metro. Here's the underground station. I want to put it on the left side of this road because that's where more of the buildings and the population is. And then for this one, if we take a look right here, there is a lot of commercial, and there's also this, a tourism area, so that should get a lot more traffic, and so I'm going to place the next station closer to that. Obviously, if it's on one side or the other, it's not going to make a big difference, but I want to try to make it, place the stations where it makes sense. They'll all come over this way, and we're going to go under the water. And then, again, here's another highway intersection right here. And I'm going to place it right here. This area is water, so this is where more of the population is. And then we're going to loop down. And then we're going to loop back over to the center part of the city. Center south side of the city. Let me place the rest of the stations and I will be right back. Okay, so you want to place all the stations for the current line, and I have done that. So the fourth step is to place the subway or the metro rail. So here is the rail icon. It's best not to use the one-way metro track. You want to use the two-way, and I'll show you why here momentarily. So you can do a clockwise line and a counterclockwise line. When you click on it, you'll notice that you go immediately into above ground view. You won't be underground anymore. So if you try to build, it's not really going to connect anywhere. You're going to be building it above ground. To build underground, you have to use page up and page down on PC, or the function up arrow and function down arrow on the Mac. If you don't have a page up or page down key, or if you're on a different system, go into your settings, look at your key bindings to find out what the keys are to increase elevation or decrease elevation. You don't have to build very deep underground. Normally you only have to build about 9 meters underground. Also, don't build too far underground in case you have something else that needs to go under the metro subway system, or in case you have a metro subway line that needs to go under an existing subway track. You normally will not have a subway line going under another subway track if you follow my instructions. And also, do not build with sharp turns. Use this icon right here. See, it says curved track right here, curved track. You want to click on that, and that will help you create nice smooth curves. So we'll have a lot of straightaway, but then I'll also show you how to do the curves so that you can build a smooth line. We know that the first station starts right here. Right here it is. That's what it looks like. And so page up and page down. Now, so you can see that we're back in underground mode. And where you connect your track is on the edges of the station. So above ground, the station looks like this, but you can see it's got this huge, it almost looks like a cylinder. And so your track is going to go on these circles, these green circles on the edge of that cylinder, because this is the station underground. So we're going to click here, and then in this case my station is exact straight line over, so we don't even have to worry about any turns, any curves, anything like that. And you can see that it's a perfect line, 180 degrees on the right side, 180 degrees on the left side. So it's a perfect straight connection. And in this case, the stations, they were built 12 meters underground. So, and then you want to connect to the green circle on the next station, and then that'll be built. There we go. Next one. Making sure it's straight. It is. Looks good. Done. Now I'm at a spot where I need to build over water. So Here's the water area right here. And sometimes it gets tricky. You can see that it's nice and green. It can definitely build, and then you'll notice sometimes you'll turn red. Right there. And you'll notice that sometimes you'll have to change the elevation of your subway line. So again, page up or page down, FN up arrow, FN down arrow, or whatever your binding is. But eventually you'll get it to the right elevation to where you can build underground. So in this case, it's I didn't really have to do anything. So again, click on the edge of the station. On the other edge of the station, it should be, for me, a straight line, so I can see 180 degrees, 180 degrees. Boom. So we've got a big section built out. Now here we've got a nice turn to do. Okay, what I've done is, here's this station. I've built a little bit of a straight track up, and then from this station I've built a little bit of a straight track to the left. And I did that because you need to have, and this goes for roads, rail, paths, if you want to get the guiding lines to help be precise with your building, you need to have it within 30 units. It will give you a guiding line as long as the distance is not more than 30 units away. So for example, this right here is about 28 units. This right here is about 22 units. And so if I zoom in, can you see these dotted lines that show up? So the one that's going from the top left to the middle central of the screen, that's from this line right here. And I can do it this way as well. So again, at the edge of the track, coming over, and then I'll get a guiding line. There we go. That's it right there. Sometimes you have to kind of play around with it. Oh, if you, let's say that, let's say I do something, I make a mistake. When you go to like bulldoze, you may see this and you're like, uh-oh, how do I actually destroy or delete something because I messed up my track? You want to use this icon right here, toggle underground bulldozing. When you click on that, the bulldoze icon will still be turned on. You can see the bulldoze cursor, and then you can actually destroy stuff underground, and you won't be able to destroy anything above ground. So that's a nice, easy way, helps avoid accidental bulldozing or destruction, deletion of buildings or roads above ground. So it's this icon that you want to do to destroy anything underground. And then you can toggle it. So let me go back. Okay, so again, we're doing the metro tracks, the two-way, and then you want to click on this icon right here, because now we're going to do a curved track. We're no longer going to do a straight track. So click right here. Wait for the guideline from, there we go. You click once to mark the mark that spot, and then you'll click again once it connects. And then you can take a look and see if you like the way that that curve is. If you don't like it, you can update it. You can make it shorter, narrower. I can destroy some of this and make it a bigger curve. So you can tinker around with it to get the to get it as precise as you want. Boom. So that's perfect. So it's an exact 90-degree angle, 180 degrees, 180 degrees. I'm going to hook it up. Boom. And so the subway vehicle, it's going to have a nice, smooth curve, not abrupt, and goes right into the next station. And so now I'm going to connect it up here, and then I'm going to go across. Let me do that, and I will be back. Okay, I've connected all of the stations for the first subway line, or the first metro line. Let me show you what it looks like. Again, we are still in underground view. Station 1, Station 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's the curve to 6, curve to 7, curve to 8, or straight to 8, curve to 9, curve to 10, and then we curve back around to where we started. So you can see that it's primarily straight lines. It looks very clean, easy to follow, not confusing, and the vehicles won't have to make really sharp turns. They do slow down if they have too sharp of a turn to do. So with these gradual turns, they shouldn't have to slow down. That'll help improve the efficiency. The other thing that I do is normally at the end of each station, I'll do a straight line of about 10 units before I start doing any curves. That's more for aesthetic purposes, but I also think it's just nicer to have them coming in, the vehicles coming in from a straight rather than from a curve right into the station. So you can see that there's always some straightaways before they get into the station. If you build a straight or non-loop line, trains will reverse out of the stations. You do not need to build a loop at the end of a straight track for the train to go in the opposite direction. Also, I would suggest do not connect two subway tracks or lines into the same subway station. Keep them separate. This tip will help avoid subway vehicle traffic jams. The fifth step is to create the subway or metro line. So the way we want to do that is right here, this icon, Metro Line tool. Click on that. Click on the first station and then click on all the subsequent stations that will comprise that subway line. So if we zoom in, this is going to be station 1 right here. Can you see it says create a new line? Click on that, and then we're going to go clockwise. 1. Here you go. When you see it says add stop, and then I'll do that for the others. Add stop. Yeah, it does make people happy. You can see the smiley faces. And so now we're kind of back where we started. Don't miss this spot. Remember, it's going to have this little icon, this little blue rectangle with the red line, red strike through it. And that's because it hasn't been completed. So when you get back to the first station, move over it, and then you'll see it says complete line. So if we click here, then it'll be completed, and you'll notice that that little rectangle with the diagonal red line has disappeared, which means that the line has is complete. It will work. If you build a straight or non-loop line, make sure you select the stations for the way back to the first station. For loop lines, make sure you build a clockwise line and a counterclockwise line. So I just did the clockwise. Let's do counter. So you can go to the same station. Can you see it? It says create a new line. Boom. And then you got the little icon again because it hasn't been completed. And we're just going to go the opposite direction. And then when you come back, there it says complete line. Boom. And, you know, you'll see the smiley faces to also give you a little bit of a visual indicator that it worked. So now we've completed the first line with a loop. When you've got the clockwise and counterclockwise, it's going to be hard to see what's what. So over here, you want to go into your transport section. If it looks like this here, go to transport. Third one from the top. This is your metro or subway system. You can click on that, and here's the two lines. And now, the two. One is the clockwise, one is counterclockwise. But of course, it's really the same track. It's the same line, which is my south central line. And so you can see when you hover over it, it'll that line will start to blink. So here's my counterclockwise. This is actually still line 1, but this is my counterclockwise one. So you can label it, click on it, change the name, name it whatever you want, hit enter afterwards, and then here's the color. So you can change the color. You can pick whatever you want. So I like to change the color for the two. That way I can kind of see what is what a little bit easier. So now that we've completed one line, I need to do the same thing for line 2. The second line will be placed on the other side of the highway. Let me get out of this view. So, you know, here's the first station. We know goes east to west right here. So here's the highway. And so the second line will be placed on the other side of the highway. For my highways, I use my highway intersections. You can find them on the Steam Workshop. I think they are the best highway intersections available because they have integrated paths, integrated frontage roads, and integrated rail. They do an amazing job at destroying traffic. You can see that effect in this city as well as all the submitted city traffic fixes I have done. Again, there's a playlist for the submitted city fixes that you can check out. For the Metro subway, the integrated paths are what's integral to our subway system success. So you can see here's the integrated paths right there. Right, you can see that elevated. So that is what's going to be really helpful for our subway system. So I will place the subway station for the second line on the exact opposite side of this highway intersection, so that when my Sims want to get out of one subway line and go into another, they can come out of the station, cross the highway using the elevated paths, and go into the other station, which will be right here, and it will be in close proximity. Therefore, for me, it's very easy to know where my subway stations will be because they will be near my highway intersections, which are already set up for a subway metro system. Also, you'll notice, let me do this. Have you noticed how like there's no zoning right here? And how there was no zoning right here? No zoning right here? I don't have anything zoned in those places because I knew from the beginning that there will be a metro station there. That's because my subway stations are always placed near my highway intersections to effect easy transfers from one subway line to another. So we go back, transport, metro, underground metro station, and then start placing the stations and repeating the above steps. So let me get started here, and then I'm going to come back after I am done. But I'll show you this first one is going to be placed right here, just like the other ones. Boom. So repeat the above steps until you have built all of your tracks and lines. Let me complete my remaining lines. A couple of extra tips. If you have a fairly symmetrical city like mine, after you build one line, you can use those same measurements for other lines. You can go over a previous line to see the measurements and duplicate them. So for example, this is line 1 and line 2 is symmetrical to it. And so I can actually come over here, here's the track, here's the station, and I can mark out like, oh, okay, that was 70 units that way. And so then you can build out 70 units. And then same thing from this station, marking out, oh, it was 20 units up before it started to curve, 20 units before it started to curve. So you can use that if you want to be a little bit more precise, if you're trying to make it look nice and have some symmetry. Here's an example also of where my subway track has to go by another underground track. Here's a station right here, and I have to build this track underneath this. And in this case, this track right here isn't a subway track. It's a regular train track. Wherever you want to build, in this case, I'm going from this subway station, and I can go all the way across, and everything looks fine. And I can see that if you can't build it, it'll light up red, saying that there's an object in its way. Like that. See, it says space already occupied. So that's what you'll see when you can't go through it. It'll say space already occupied. But in this case, everything looks good. And there you go. And then you can kind of look and see that, oh, okay, the subway is actually going underneath. Or it's actually going, I can't even tell. Yeah, it's going underneath the train track. Lastly, when you build a station, make sure your Sims can walk to it. So for example, there is a sidewalk here for the Sims, but this is a highway, and Sims are not allowed to walk where there's a highway. So technically, there's no way for the Sims to get to this subway station. They got a sidewalk here, and they won't be able to get here. So I'll need to build a pedestrian path for them to get here. And so again, landscaping and disasters, paths, and then you can pick whatever path you want to use, whatever is available for you. I'm going to use this one. Bingo. So now people can use this sidewalk, come over here, and access this metro station, or they can use the elevated paths to get there from the other side. And we're going to have another one over here, of course. Let me show another example of how you can build smooth lines, have good curves. I'm going to connect this station with this station. I've created 10 units of straight, like I mentioned I normally try to do. Do the curved track. And then we'll see if we can get the line. There we go. There's the line right here that lets us know that it's kind of directly connecting that. See that right there? Boom. And there we go. Nice, clean lines, good angles, and it goes from 180 degrees to another 180 degrees, so it's a smooth connection between the two. There you go. Nice, very smooth curves. So another example of how we can do it, and we have also gone underwater. So far, going underwater has been easier. Okay, I finally have an example for when you're trying to build over a body of water and it doesn't work. This body of water, I need to build a metro or subway track over. So, you know, here I am, metro tracks. I'm going to just show you what it looks like. So, you know, I'm hooking it up, and I'll do something like this. And see that? It says slope too steep, cannot build on water. And, you know, I can do page up, page down, nothing works. Unless I want to go above ground, which I don't want to do. And I can change the height over here. I can try to come from the other direction. Nothing. Page up, page down. It doesn't work. And so it will be a little bit of a guessing game, but what you have to do is you have to update a little bit of the terrain. So I know that it'll look something like that. And so what you want to do is you can take a look right here, terrain heights. Most likely, we have to just raise up the terrain slightly in this area. Go over to landscaping, of course. Level terrain. That's too small. Yeah, we'll need something like that. We can do medium strength. And I think it was like something right around here. And we'll pick this level right here. And this is going to be a little bit of a channel for us. Not enough soil, you can come over here, buy. I think that should give me enough room to work with. So then we go back, track, and let's just do a quick test run. It'll be approximately like this, and there you go. So now we can build it, but I'm going to try to make it a little bit more precise, but that's how you take care of... Oh, can you see that? Oh, yeah, you can kind of see it, right? You can kind of see that. There you go. And you can see this little ridge. And when you hit... If you do something like that on a body of water and you hit play, the game models water, and so you're going to see all this water rush and move down, and it can kind of go over some of your areas and create flooding. Don't panic. It will settle into its new position, and your areas that are flooded will no longer be flooded. So don't panic. Just give it a little bit of time. But that's all you have to do. You have to build a little bit of a channel like that. We can kind of call it a land bridge, but it's really an underwater land bridge to give room for the subway tracks, for the metro tracks to still go under that water. What is happening in these other areas where I've been able to build it without any difficulty, you know, like right here, I was able to build it. This area is not as deep, and so this area is much deeper, and that's why it needs to have this that land bridge, or that increasing the elevation of the land underwater. Here's an example of a station that cannot be placed due to the terrain not being level. So again, transport, underground metro station right here. You can see it says slope too steep, and I do want it to go from left to right. So you go here, landscaping, level the terrain, and keep in mind the distance. So you don't want to just level the area where it shows above ground. You want to level out the area for this entire cylinder for the station. So level terrain, I think the small one is good. So I'm gonna, you right click and to pick what you want it to be, what the terrain is that you want to, the height that you want to get the train to, or the level that you want to get to the train to. And so I want it based on this, where this intersection is, and then hold down that right mouse button and then left click. And then you can see the lines moving ever so slightly, and then the cylinder, the station, kind of comes out this far on this side, and then we'll go over here because it does come out over here. Can't see the lines moving that much, but maybe just a small amount is all that's needed. There you go. For this city, I did have to build 2 non-loop or straight or sequential lines. I want to show you how you build actually the line, not the track, but the line. So again, Metro Line tool. We're going to start up here. So you click on the stations to add the stops. And this is the last station for this line. You can see it's still got that icon, so it's not done yet. So, and again, you don't have to create a loop track for the train to turn around or anything like that. It'll just stop at the station and come back. So then you come back and select the stations again. And then when you get back to the starting station, you'll see the same thing, complete line. And you'll see that the line it kind of curves back into the starting point. There you go. Let me show you what the completed metro subway system looks like. It cost $5 million to build. As I mentioned before, a subway metro system is expensive. And I had $8.5 million when I started, so I'm at $3.5 million. So it took over half of my bank balance. So let me show you right here. Transport, subway, here they are. I have 3 loop lines and 2 sequential lines. And I have labeled them. I put the numbers at the front so that you can sort by line name. So you can sort by these columns. So I did it that way so it just sorts properly. So we've got 1 loop, 2nd loop, and a 3rd loop. And then we've got the sequentials right here. So line 1, line 2, line 3, those are loops because you got the duplicates for the clockwise and counterclockwise. And then we've got the 2 sequential lines. Let me show them to you right here. So this was the first one that I built. The loop. I'll try to go pretty quick. You can pause if you need to. And notice all the curves are nice and smooth. So that's loop 1, or line 1. Here's line 2. This is an airport terminal. This is the international airport. It's got a subway stop right in there. It comes actually with that asset. And then we come back. You can see that the stations are across the highway, like I mentioned before, so that we can have easy transfers. So I've placed many of the stations on opposite side of the highway to affect easy transfers. Then we've got another one down here. This is loop 3. Or line 3. Nice smooth curves. And then we got the sequentials. Starts here, covers the east side of the city. and then it comes down south, terminates. The last line is a sequential line, and it starts in the south, but it's really the west line. Covers the west side. There are a few places where I built stations near each other where there wasn't a highway to affect easy transfers. An example is right here. It's two different lines going by each other, and I put the stations nearby so the Sims can hop out of one line and hop into another. So that's an example of one spot. Here's another example of another one. Again, you don't really need to do that. You can just put them on the other sides of the highway. I did that because this is the very end of the city, the very south part, so there's not going to be another highway here. And then I did it up here because there wasn't going to be a highway here. It's a little bit farther down. So that's why there's a few strategic places where I did that, just because of where the bodies of water are, where how the city is set up. But for the most part, line switching happens near the highways. Few places I could not do that, either because of the size of the city or because the body of water or where the highways had to be placed. I had to build 6 underwater subway land bridges or channels to be able to place the subway metro tracks across some of the bodies of water. Here you can see what they look like. Here's one of them. You see that? Here's another. Another, 5, and 6. And that's exactly where the tracks are going. You can kind of see it in the water right there. The shade of the water changes. But so I did have to build those to get the subways across the water. Here's my traffic flow, 73%. No despawning. This is prior to the effect of the subway metro system. The 6th step is to update the number of subway vehicles. I'm now going to hit play. The game will calculate how much subway vehicles it thinks each line needs. The game will be wrong. You will almost always need more vehicles than what the game thinks. I'm going to move over to this area over here. It's got 4 of the subway underwater channels, so you can see the effect of how the game does a really good job of modeling water. When we hit play, which we're going to do right now, you will have to let the game run for 10 minutes or more. You have to give your subway lines time to actually work. You have to give your Sims time to get to the stations and start riding their new, amazing, efficient, and practical new mass transit system. So while we're doing that, we can see the water. You can start to see it. Oh yeah, yeah, as the cargo ships kind of have to go through that. So the water is being modeled. You can start to see it move. You can start to see it come over here. Oh yeah, right there. That's a flooding icon. Building is flooding. Just take a look and see if it's anywhere else. Nah, these areas are pretty high up. Yeah, you can see it. Almost looks like, you know, just waves, big waves. Not like a tidal wave or anything, but you can see that. So in order to determine the exact number of subway vehicles, let the game run for a while. While you let the city run, take a look at your subway stations. Watch the effect of pedestrians on road traffic near the stations. You can make the game time go faster by clicking on these arrows right here. On the bottom left-hand side, that accelerates game time. I will do that, but I want to see the water effect. Yeah, you can see that. Can you see all this water? Oh my god, it's moving all the cars away. Jeez. Sorry, guys. Oh my god. What a disaster. It's terrible. So sorry. Anything else? Oh, yep. Looks like there's a patch of flooding happening here. It will dissipate on its own. It will dissipate on its own. You don't have to really do anything. Oh, it's going to destroy all these cars? No, not really. It's going to go over to these oil tankers. Or these oil industrial buildings. Oh yeah, look! They have to stop. Because of the water. Oh yeah, this whole area got flooded. Oh my goodness. So sorry, everybody. Nothing over here. Nothing over here. These are pretty high up. This area looks okay. Okay. Yeah, you can just kind of see like the water isn't flat anymore. Yeah, you can see as the ships kind of go over it. Definitely makes it a lot more dramatic, that's for sure. But that's because we put in this extra piece of land underneath, and it just kind of has really shifted the volume of water. After you have let the game run, come over here, go to your metro subway system, and you want to take a look. You hit that magnifying glass, and then see how you got this column. The dots are all of your stations. The dots on the left-hand side, those are all your subway vehicles, and they'll be added up down here. You got 4 on this line, so, or I've got 4. So South Central, line 1, this is the counterclockwise one, it's red, it's got 4 lines, and so these numbers on the right-hand side, these are the amount of people waiting. That's the amount of people waiting. So are the numbers higher than 100? No, they are not. Does the number stay above 100 consistently? If so, add a vehicle. And you may have to add several depending on how many people are waiting. For every 100 people waiting consistently, add a vehicle. You may have to add vehicles, let the city run, come back to the screen, and update the vehicle number again. Feel free to go to step 7 and come back to step 6 as you refine the number of subway vehicles for each metro line. Continue this process until you have less than 100 people waiting at stations for an extended amount of time. Let's take a look at the others. Lines overview. Let's go to the next one. Look on the right side. Oh, we got 100. We got 100 waiting. So let's go ahead and increase the amount of vehicles. So we got 4. Just click on this slider and beef it up. Yeah, I think it needs to be 6. Here's the number of vehicles. Shows them right here. 320 people. Oh my God. So you can see how many passengers that is on that line in its entirety. You can see how many vehicles are being used. And so you just have to come back here periodically and then, you know, just take a look at your stations. And then take a look if you see a lot of people waiting where your stations are. So for example, I know that there's 2 stations right here. Oh yeah, can you guys see this? Here's one of the cylinders, that's one station. Here's another one. See the white dots? Those are people waiting. And look. Can you guys see people going in and out, going in them? And watch, when a train comes, a boatload of people will come out. And what are they doing? Are they coming over here? Are they hopping into this? There you go. They're switching lines, just like they're supposed to. Perfect. And then if you want to see them color-coded, you can come over here. See how these dots are red? They're on this, going on the line that's colored red. The dots that are colored green, those are people that are going on the green. The line that's colored green. So obviously I know that the red one is counterclockwise, the green one is clockwise. Your system will get busier as the people are being spawned and as their routes are recalculated. So it takes some time. Going home to play Cities Skylines 2? That's hysterical. Brittany? I'm going through and updating the lines. Look, this one, line 2, has 2,400 people waiting. And this is one of the reasons why you do not connect your lines into the same stations. You keep them discrete, you keep them separated so you can beef up how many vehicles how many trains you really have running, and so that it won't cause a traffic jam, because I know that there will only be one set of trains hitting that line. Let's go. Where is the station? My God, man. Because of the space elevator is right over here. Wow. That's phenomenal. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. That many people. I have another one where this is line 5. It's got almost 1,000 people waiting right here. This is near the... That's also near the space elevator. Right here. So this is the one that's the busiest, huh? Oh my God! Jeez. Look at all these people. It's an ant mound. I even built like a little path right here to get to this sidewalk. I thought that may be helpful. I had no idea it was going to be this helpful. Sorry about rotating the camera so much. Gotta see what it looks like when people come out of here. Wow. Do you notice how those cars just spawned? When people come out of a subway, they will spawn cars. You see that? That can have a little bit of a traffic problem, but if you follow my instructions and if you follow this tutorial, you won't really have much to worry about. Hey, are a lot of people crossing over? I wanna check that. Yeah, perfect, Elizabeth. So she came out of this, it looks like, and she's coming over here and she's gonna hop into that station. Do we have another one? Yeah. He is. So yeah, you can see they're moving. Like I mentioned, you want to continue this process until you have less than 100 people waiting at stations for an extended amount of time. This process can be somewhat trial and error. This step 6 is another reason to build a metro after you have completed building your city. So if we take a look right here, I got 17 vehicles, and look how many people are waiting. 0, 13, 5, 7, and then for the vehicles, they'll tell you how many people are riding, what the capacity is. The first number is how many people are riding. The second number is the capacity. So 3 people riding, it can fit 150. 128 people riding, it can fit 150. They're all 150 size vehicles. 125 out of 150. So and there's 270 people waiting here, but you can see that, okay, there's quite a few trains, quite a few vehicles that don't have 150 people waiting. There's quite a few stops that have 0 people waiting, so I probably have too many vehicles, and this one I can probably reduce down to 15. So you do have to do that periodically until you get the right fit for your city. Sometimes you'll be able to guess what stations will be busy, but many times you won't. So for example, here on line 4, which is my east line, I was looking and I thought there's 750 people waiting? Where? And it's this station right here. Right here. I would not have been able to guess. Look at all of these people walking, and then they're crossing over, and then they're coming over here, and then they're coming here. So this is a perfect example of people crossing from one line to another. What happens? Can we hit pause? Just click one. Where are you going? Yep, he's hitting that. What about you? Where are you going? Yep. He's going into this one. So this is a perfect example of the stations being placed to affect easy transfers and using these highway intersections with the integrated paths. Oh my God. I mean, that's looking like it. That's... I'm going to have to think about what I want as the thumbnail, but that's a really good one. That's phenomenal. I thought that maybe this one would be. And there are people using this. You can see that. You can definitely see that, but that other one is the most... I mean, that's just really pretty to look at, don't you think? What happens if you go color-coded? No, I won't color-code them, except when they're inside. That's unbelievable. Here's the station that had... There we go. This is the one that had 2,000 people waiting. This is the one by the space elevator. And so you can see that the number of people aren't waiting anymore because of increasing the number of vehicles. And I can probably reduce it down some more. The last step, step number 7, is to build pedestrian paths. While you were letting the city run in step 6 and watching pedestrians coming into and out of your subway stations, you will notice that pedestrians will cause traffic jams on the road because there are so many of them crossing the road. Therefore, build pedestrian paths for those roads and intersections with high pedestrian traffic. So this one obviously doesn't have any, but let's take a look. Again, there's no despawning. What is my traffic? Any guesses? Here, let me show you the red and not show the number. Here you go. This is the city. Massive 100... Where the hell did the 186,000 people come from? I started this at 175. Did building a metro subway system increase the population by 10,000? I had no idea. I had no idea, ladies and gentlemen, that it would have this effect. The goal is to get the city up to 200,000. I thought I was going to have to build out and grow the city to get another 25,000 people in there. I had no idea that the subway or metro system increases the population of your city. So the population has grown while I've been running to just adjust the metro subway system. That's amazing. So anyways, I got a massive city. What do you think the traffic flow is? Remember it was at, what, 72? 73% before I put the subway system in? Any guesses? Here you go. Again, no despawning. Boom. We gained 9 percentage points. 9 percentage points by building a subway system or a metro system. In Cities Skylines 1, when you build it following those steps, what I consider to be the best way to build a subway system. Which gets us back to step number 7, build pedestrian paths for those roads and intersections with high pedestrian traffic. Do you see any? There's a subway station right here. You can see the black cylinder. There's no red. There's no cars waiting. Here's another one. There's the cylinder. The white rectangles that just moved in. Those are the vehicles. The subway vehicles. There's nothing. This is the one that's super busy. You can see all the people waiting in there. There's no traffic. Wow. I don't even think I need to build any. This is the only one. That looks like the only one. Let's go and see if there's anybody else. I really thought that over here, where these two stations are nearby, that it would cause a problem. No. And then over here, where these two stations are nearby, that would cause a problem. No. I see some people waiting there, though. Wow. And this area was dying of traffic, which will be another video, dying of traffic, and the fix, as I mentioned in my other videos, is to build the metro subway system, and the traffic was not being caused by the space elevator, but just by this area. And lo and behold, the metro subway system fixed it, as I had expected or hypothesized. So that's great. We're at 82%. I got only one place where I need to build paths. Let's come over here. This is it. Yeah. Okay. Very good. So come over here. Landscaping and disasters. Paths. Pick the path that you want. You can build elevated pedestrian paths by hitting page up, or you can build underground pedestrian paths by hitting page down. You can also hit home to get to 0 elevation or level elevation for the paths. I recommend building elevated paths. It's always easier to build above ground and easier to problem solve with above ground items. It's also nice to see all the pedestrians, like we did with the paths over here, right here, where you can see all of them moving. Oh my God. They just cover up that sidewalk. With their red clothes, it almost makes the sidewalk look red. Alright, so it's over here. If you don't have page up or page down, again, you can take a look at your settings and take a look at your key bindings, or if you don't have FN up arrow or down arrow. So that's nice and elevated. And then they need to get up there. So I'm clicking on the corners and hitting home. And that brings it flat elevation. Clicking on the corners and hitting home. There's one spot right here that I won't be able to build it down, and I don't want to mess up with the zoning, or mess around with the zoning there. And then, like I mentioned before, a lot of times where I have the highway intersection and this area that I know I'm going to build a metro subway system, I don't do zoning. And I know that I'll have to build pedestrian paths like this. I know that I'll have to build pedestrian paths, and so I don't do zoning there. In this case, it turns out I didn't even really need to build much pedestrian paths. So after you build the path, if you have Traffic Manager, click on this icon right here. Traffic Manager calls them junction restrictions, but they're basically intersection instructions. So click that, click on the intersection, and then click on the blue icon with the person walking on the crosswalk. So click on it, and when it's turned off, it won't be blue anymore. It'll be grayish with a red line through it. That means the pedestrians can't use the ground crosswalks. And you'll see that nobody's walking on the ground crosswalk, and you'll see that they are using the elevated crosswalks. So they should be coming up here and then taking a left to use the elevated crosswalks. They won't use the ground crosswalks, they'll use the elevated crosswalks. Perfect. So let's take a look. 6,000 people. We went from 0 to 6,000 people using the subway system. Here's the number of vehicles. Here's the number of passengers. Amazing. And so I will go back through and take a look to refine it a little bit more, especially because the idea is to get to 200,000 population, so there'll be a few more people in the city. And there's no other mass transit in the system. None. There's no buses. There's no trams. There is one rail, but it's for outside connection to come in. Only mass transit is this metro subway system that we just built. Now that we have completed our subway or metro system, we're going to take one final look at the traffic flow so we can so that we can determine how much the subway metro system has improved our traffic flow. I kind of did that before, but let's just double check. 82. Amazing. Amazing. If you want to see how I built this city, there's a playlist showing the entire city build. 80% traffic flow. Oh my god, 83. No despawning. And there are no internal roundabouts. The only roundabouts I have are for aesthetic purposes only for my highway intersections. There's no other roundabouts in the city. There are no lane connectors. None of these. There's not even a single 6-lane road. Not a single one. There's not a single yield sign. I have not done anything with the highways where where their sizes are expanded or contracted. Sometimes that's called lane mathematics. I haven't done that at all. And we're getting 83% traffic flow on a city with 188,000 people. The vehicle limit at the beginning, before I started building the subway metro system, was 74%, which was 12,179 vehicles out of 16,384. Let me take a look at what it is now. The vehicle limit is the same, so the subway metro system has no impact on the vehicle limit for a city. Interesting. Another positive effect from building a subway metro system is that it does increase the overall happiness of your Sims. That covers the 7 steps to build a perfect, amazing, successful subway metro system. Step 8 is to not build a Hadron Collider. If you want to build that trash building, just dislike this video and unsubscribe from me. Otherwise, please like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you did not, and if you want to support me more, smash that subscribe button. If you want more tips, there is a playlist which includes another Metro Subway guide, a beginner's guide, traffic manager settings, and other tutorials and tips. Also in the playlist are a boatload of submitted city fixes where I fix other people's cities and their traffic. As always, Stream Vibes playing in the background. You can check it out on most music platforms all over the world, and you can also use it on your own streams and videos. You will not get a copyright strike because I own the copyright. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.